Hey, Splee. Thanks for joining in. Here's your next Tuesday devotions, kind of moving on, continuing with our whiteboard and our poorly drawn while we're talking about numbers and why deal with the book of Numbers at all. And this is just coming from this collection of articles that I stumbled across while doing some research for youth group when we were going to talk about the book of Numbers. And so this one, this author's reason of, hey, why deal with the book of Numbers, is they say it provides us with a great amount of information about the character of God. So I'm going to draw the omega here to represent God, and it's funny, and I'm catching myself caught off guard by this. Is what do we know about God, or what do we wonder, or what do we think? Are you someone who sits there and like, who is this being, or what is this force, this whatever that we study and we worship and we base our lives around, right? We don't do a lot of talking, I would say, about the character of God. What is he like? It may almost be like a taboo question, like, hey, I'm in church, I don't want to bring this up, you know what I mean? And I'm going to show you an excerpt from the one blog. This is from Kelly Needham, and she says a great reason as to why read the book of Numbers is you hear all about God's character, the way God reacts to these people throughout the book. So this is the example I want to pull out that she says. I want to read this to you and then kind of dig into it a little bit more. She says, for example, in chapter 11, the people complain that they don't like the manna that God is daily providing, but instead desire the food they had in Egypt. God responds to their complaint with this: because you have rejected the Lord who is among you and have wept before him, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? From Numbers 11:20. This is huge. God has made it clear that these desires are a rejection of him personally. It's simply an expression of their hearts that God is not enough. And then she says, this has massive implications for me as a reader as I evaluate my own desires for the things that God has not seen fit to give to me. Right? It's wild. So kind of picture in your mind as I erase my whiteboard this story from Numbers. So if you know the Bible passage as well, oh, sorry that email popped up. I hope that doesn't show up there. Otherwise, we will get rid of it. So picture, again, the Numbers story is you have all the Israelites. They were slaves in Egypt, and then they're free, and they're wandering around in the desert and all this stuff. So what are they going to eat, right? It's a very weird kind of part of the Bible, if we're honest, is they are told they're fed this manna, this bread from heaven. So they wake up in the morning and food has fallen from the sky, which is odd, but we're following the Bible if we believe it. And so these guys have been eating this food that's falling from the sky, and you have the same food every day. Eventually, you're going to get sick and tired of it. So they get mad. They start pitching a fit, and they come to Moses and they say, Moses, we were better in Egypt. We want that good food, right? So they're coming and they're saying to God, hey, the food that you are giving us, that you have provided for us, it's not good enough, right? We want something better. And God, obviously, he's going to get upset. He's going to get mad. Like there's some major anger in Numbers 11. So again, it's pretty wild. What does that teach us about God? We learn from the character of God that, one, God is emotionally invested. He cares about how we react. And I think that's really, typically the people who you're not emotionally invested in, the way they do things doesn't bother you, right? Have you ever noticed that? Like if a random stranger on the street does like X, Y, and Z, who cares? But like your mom does it, or your brother, or one of your kids, you're gonna get mad. The people who you're emotionally invested in. So we learned that God is emotionally invested in us. Then we also learn, hey, he has anger. So that Numbers is a great way you learn about the character of God. So I encourage you to read Numbers chapter 11 today. And then I also encourage you, based on, again, this passage is it's an expression of where we're saying, hey, God is not enough. So what in your life are you maybe saying to God, hey, you're not enough for me, and focus on that and reflect on it. So another reason to read the book of Numbers is it tells us about our God. So thanks for watching. We'll be prayer challenge on Thursday, and we'll be back with more Numbers on next Tuesday.